Welcome to today's session of Purpose and Impact Bootcamp. Today we're working on our unique vision. It is day 4. You guys have covered so much. And today you're going to start combining it all together and create your unique vision and design your impact action plan. This is going to allow you to live in alignment with your purpose and create the impact that you were uniquely designed for. So for those of you who don't know me yet, I'm Chantel. I'm an author, a speaker, a transformation neurocoach, and a certified life purpose coach. I specialize in helping women connect with their purpose and then permanently remove the blocks that have been holding them back so that they can step into their full potential and live an aligned and fulfilling life of impact. Okay, we've had 4 days of the boot camp plus the masterclass. So 5 days of content, 5 days of amazing action. I can't wait to hear celebrations. So I've got Jackie and Jean on with me live in the Zoom. If you are watching on Facebook, feel free to add in the Facebook, and while they're sharing, I'll get that up and running. And if you're watching the replay, share in the comments. So who would like to go first? Jackie, Jean?
Well, I'll tell you, when we start, any of us, I'll say me, when I start paying attention to my thoughts, it really, we just are so unaware of how we are unaware of our thoughts. It is crazy. And I have this thought that I battle because I have, from yesterday's interview, my saboteur is a big one, and it's not there as much anymore, but I was a victim. And because I was a victim, I was a blamer. And because of that, I feel like that made me also a controller of desiring to control my circumstances, because a victim is in the hyper, oh shit, I got to get out of this mode all the time. And so I got to control everything. And my poor husband, he is not the one that's making me the victim. It is me. But when he is not doing what I feel like he should be doing, I go into my victim mentality. What about me? Must be nice, blah, all in my head. And I can end up in that pity party that's so deep and dark. That's who I used to be. So just this week, let's see, it's only Wednesday. I guess it was Monday. I was here at work, and you see I'm working again late today, and I was working late on Monday, and my husband was not necessarily doing some things that I felt were conducive to contributing to our household, blah, blah, blah. And here I am working, and start going down. But I caught myself, and I didn't stay there, which is huge. That's a win. That's my win. That's a big win. So it's not that I didn't go there for minutes. I did though. But it was so momentary. In the past, it would have been the evening, right? I would have came home so pissed off at him. And he's like clueless. And rightfully so. I'm here at work having my fit, and he has no idea. So the other part, I think that I am, I was, victim would have been number one, controller, and then probably avoider, because I need everybody to like me. So I wouldn't even tell him what was going on in here. All he would know is that I'm mad. So that's not how Monday night ended. So thank you.
That is amazing, Jackie. Wow, what a huge win. So you you caught it, you heard it, you noticed it, and then you
Mhm.
decided, I'm taking power over this. I'm not letting this ruin my evening, nothing. That is huge. Ugh,
And it sucks so much energy, right? Anytime we're going down a negative road, we that's one of the things that is one of the most valuable assets I have is my energy. And when I allow that train to go, I mean, woo, it goes fast and so does all of my energy. And then I don't have any energy to fight off any of the other negative thoughts that come. The pity party gets bigger, right?
yeah. It's so easy to
Ugh.
get in that downward spiral of thinking.
Mhm. Mhm.
A really good book to read if you are a like brain nerd like I am is called The Upward Spiral. It's kind of dry. It's a little more technical than
Mhm.
like, other nonfiction books that I typically enjoy reading, but it was really, really informative about how our
And
brain works. Yeah, and how it's so easy to get in that downward spiral and how to say, no, not happening, and turn it into an upward spiral.
Mhm.
Oh,
Mhm.
I'm so
Good,
excited about that for you,
good.
Jackie.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Me
Yeah.
too. The
I
win.
bet your I bet your husband was too.
Well, he is, but he's oblivious as to that he's why he's happy. No, that's not totally true. We are starting to talk more. We have been. I mean, it's been quite the journey, right? And because we both got tired of having the elephant in the living room that we
Mm,
weren't talking about. And the longer the elephant's there, the stinkier it gets because he's pooping all the time.
right. Yes.
And he has a big poop and it gets really stinky. So yeah, that's kind of how our life was.
Yeah. Oh man. It'd be interesting if he was willing to take the saboteur assessment and you guys could
Mhm.
compare, and that could be an interesting conversation starter.
Yeah. Well, I actually didn't take the assessment because
Mm.
it said the page didn't exist. So I would like to maybe see about getting that, going to the link. I
Yeah.
tried on my phone. Maybe I'll have to go on my laptop. But I just feel like I identified with what I said, the victim for sure, the avoider and the people pleaser and the controller.
I will drop that in the Zoom chat. And
Okay.
I think we are officially now up and running on Facebook. A minute ago,
So it
we were
says to
not.
me live on Facebook.
Yes. Um, but our first little bit, the intro was not live for some reason, and that's okay. It's no
Oh,
big deal. There was nothing really that important. It's if you're watching, you're watching the Purpose and Impact Bootcamp. Welcome. Okay, Jean, what celebrations do you have? Oh, you're muted. Let me. Okay, you're muted. There you go. There you go.
Something similar to you, Jackie, what you said. So a mutual friend of actually Chantel's and I here in Wichita sells cars. And occasionally I go to an auction site with him here locally. And there was a nice car I was looking at last week. And he's supposed to do the homework and look into it. Auction site today. And he said it wasn't there, which I thought meant it had sold, and he didn't do his homework and look into it for me, which actually means that wasn't it at all. It just wasn't in the lineup yet. So actually, when I noticed I jumped to the conclusion, because this has happened before, that there was this ideal car for me, and by that wholesale auction price. That it didn't come through. So I assumed the worst when actually it was misunderstanding. So in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh. So I talked to my heart about that. So, just to not be judgy about things immediately. So I was just caught myself on that. So thought that was a, good awareness to be on top of that.
That is because, yeah, we can't always control what happens, but we get to control our response and our reaction, right? So all events, all situations are neutral. So there's a car for sale. It's not good, bad. It's not for you. It's not for you, and it sells. It's not good or bad. It's just a fact. There was a car for sale. It has now sold, and it was not to you, right?
Well, actually, yes. So when I processed this in my head, and actually, it kind of through my heart too, it's like, well, you know what? What's the big deal? What's that going to mean is, it's probably, I'm going to have to sell my car, deal with that because I don't want to have two cars. Plus, I probably have to kick in some money for it because cars are so expensive right now, even though it was at a wholesale price at an auction site. So it's like, you know what? I don't want to go through all that. So I'm glad it's not even available.
I love it. That shift in perspective. And how much lighter do you feel in owning it this way than maybe a past way?
Right, exactly. And actually the car was there, it just hadn't been in lineup yet.
Yeah.
So it was totally my misunderstanding to begin with. It's like I got judgy about it real fast because of past circumstances. So I just need to be, yeah, I mean, improving ourselves, the first step is awareness. So I was glad to be able to pick up on that. And I think, through talking about these things in this community, helped me realize, hey, let's shift this into a positive.
Mm.
It's not the end of the world. It's a car.
Yeah. Oh man, that perspective taking and choosing how you're going to process that. Like it just wasn't in alignment for me. Yeah. It's so liberating and empowering. So that's amazing, Jean. Good job. Look, how far, like we just started on Friday. It's not even a full week. And you guys have been showing up and doing the work. And look how far you've come already. And I know both of you, like Friday's masterclass was not the first time you've ever done any work on yourself or ever heard any of these things. Both of you have been working on your journey for a while. But yeah, I just really want to celebrate that with you and for you, that it's just amazing. I'm so proud of both of you. Hey, so awesome. So anybody on Facebook, I just dropped the link in there. If you would like to come join us on Zoom, click that link and then you'll get access to the Zoom and come join us. Everybody in Zoom, let me get you the workbook so we can start going through day 4 here in a minute. A couple of announcements. I shared that prizes will be announced Thursday, so tomorrow during the bonus masterclass, and I want to honor that, so that is still true. Tomorrow we will do from the points accumulated by up till that point based on who shows up tomorrow, right? If you watch the replay after, the prize is already gone, sorry, but it's still congratulations, watch those replays. So I was looking at the calendar and next Tuesday, there was not a podcast guest. So I've already shared a few bonus events, right? And so points are going to reset and continue for the remaining events. And there's going to be one winner earning 1 hour one-on-one coaching call. There's lots of ones. Which is good, like angel number type stuff. So yay. But okay, so Thursday, tomorrow, we're going to do our first, second, and third prizes for points up to then for taking up, showing up, and sharing. Showing up, taking action, and sharing. Man, I'm on a roll today. Okay. Recenter. Okay. So join us on Sunday for an open Q&A session where you can come with questions or just come and listen and learn from other people's questions. And then we will open with celebrations. And then it's just an open floor for whoever is in attendance. It may last 10 minutes. It may go the full hour. So it just depends on who shows up and where the conversation goes. Then Monday at 7 p.m. is when one of the main components of my coaching program will be taking place starting in January. So come experience what driver's seat coaching looks like. And I'm going to explain more about the program later today and go deeper tomorrow. And so that'll all make more sense. So for now, just save the date. And quick reminder on that Monday, due to the potentially personal nature of coaching, that session will not be live streamed and will not be recorded. So it's one of those, you attend live or not. If you are unable to attend live, just connect with me and I will do the best I can to explain driver's seat coaching, but I can't really replicate the full effect and the magicalness that happens during that. If you have done other challenges or been part of group programs, a lot of people call them hot seats. And so if you're familiar with hot seat coaching, very similar, but everything in my world is you're on a journey, enjoy the journey. The program is called Create a Life You Love Roadmap. And so instead of calling it a hot seat, which to me sounds a little intimidating, we're calling it driver's seat, where you get to be in the driver's seat of your own journey. So come experience that Monday. And then, oh, awesome, Jackie. Good. I'm glad that you have your own call on Monday. You go serve those people. um, so, okay, the final bonus that I'm going to release right now is next Tuesday. So in place of the podcast guests at 7 p.m., I'm going to do a bootcamp recap. So we're going to review the top takeaways from each session. We're going to answer any questions, depending on time, hopefully do one final connection and discussion time for anyone live with us on Zoom. Those times have just been magical. So next Tuesday at 7, just a recap. I'm going to hit all from both bonus master classes and days 1 through 4. So those 6 days, any top takeaways. You've learned a lot. It's hard to process all of it and remember. So just kind of a nice Cliff Notes version. So come hang out with us next Tuesday at 7, and I'll get all that set up too on the calendar and stuff. It's not there yet if you're following the Google Calendar. So up to this point in the boot camp, you have looked back in order to discover your passions and interests, your skills and talents, how your unique life experiences have led you to where you are today. And then you looked at how those puzzle pieces come together to begin to form clarity around your purpose. Today is all about looking forward and creating a strong, emotionally charged vision. It's very important that we tap into the emotional parts of our brain because we often make decisions based on emotion. So think about it. You may logically know you need to work out. You logically know the benefits of what happens when you do. And you logically know what happens over time if you do not. So you do logical actions to set yourself up for success. You might set out your clothes the night before, set an alarm, go to bed at a decent time. You might even have an accountability buddy that you know is going to be waiting for you, right? But imagine it's a cold December morning, obviously not in 2021, but you know what December sometimes feel like. So it's a cold December morning, your alarm goes off at 5 a.m. What's the thought or the words? Ugh, I just don't feel like it, right? So while yes, we need the logical supports put into place, and we'll go into those today as well. If we don't have that strong emotional why that is pulling us towards our vision, then what we're doing is relying strictly on our willpower, and we're trying to push a giant boulder up a hill. Eventually, you're going to get tired. Your willpower will fail you, and that boulder is going to roll right down that hill and crush you. So we need a strong why that's pulling us. And think about it. Being pulled is so much easier than pushing, right? So all boot camp, you've been getting clearer and clearer vision about your purpose and what impact you could make with it. And so just like you, your vision is going to continue growing, changing, and evolving. So we're going to take the principles and activities taught today and look at it for your current vision, where your current vision is, knowing that it's going to keep changing. So these are really good activities to walk through every 60 to 90 days. I do plan on doing a version of this boot camp about every 8 weeks. So, look out for those dates when they are released. I'm not sure if it'll continue in this format, if we'll do like a Saturday full day webinar, those types of details aren't decided, but these types of activities will also continue evolving as I do. And so it would be a really good activity, recalibrate every 60 to 90 days. So I want you to take a moment to briefly jot down, where are you in your thinking currently? So you're going to fill in the I want to blank because blank. So what do you want to do and why do you want to do it? I'll give you a second for that. Okay. So oftentimes, especially when you've been focusing on this for so many days in a row, very intensely, wherever your why is right now, it is going to be deeper today than it was last week before we started, of course. But a lot of times our initial why is fairly surface level, even if it feels deep. So in your workbook, there is an activity called 7 Whys Deep, and that will walk you through this as an action item. It's a little confusing if you've never done it or seen it. So I'm going to give you an example, and so you know what that looks like. And spoiler alert, it's our connection discussion activity today, so you guys get to do it. Those of you on Zoom. So it'll be fun. So you're going to take your statement, I want to blank because blank, and then ask yourself, why is that blank important to you? But you're going to say, to me. And you'll write down the response and ask yourself again, so why is that important to me? And you'll do that 5 to 7 times until you hit an emotional response. Now, filling it in with blanks doesn't really help us fully understand this activity. So I'm going to walk you through an example. So while doing this activity with a client a couple years ago, she really wanted to get fit and healthy. She felt that she had struggled her entire life with weight, and she knew all the logical things, but she just couldn't get her health to where she wanted it to be. So she was approaching her 40s and she wanted to get super serious about it. And so she decided to do something that she'd never done before, and she ended up hiring me as her coach. So she had tried personal trainers, she'd done multiple diet plans, and she heard me on a podcast and reached out after realizing, hey, this might be more of a mental block thing than a new strategy, diet, tactic that I need to learn and apply. Because she's tried a bunch of those and they didn't work, or they would work, but it would all come back. So she wanted to come at it from a different angle. So during one of our first sessions, I walked her through this activity. This was a couple years ago and it wasn't recorded or anything. So this is kind of like loosely what it sounded like. That gives you a good example of how we can go from surface to pretty deep. So she shared, I want to lose weight because I want to feel good about myself when I look in the mirror. So I responded, why is it important to you to feel good about yourself when you look in the mirror? All I did was repeat her words back to her of why is that important, right? Do you see how those blanks work? So after I asked that, she paused and said something like, well, it's important to me because right now, when I pass a mirror, I just feel disgusted with myself. Why is it important that you not feel disgusted with yourself? I'm not adding judgment. I'm not adding words. I'm not jumping in with, oh, you shouldn't think that. Like, that's not the purpose of this activity. You are just repeating back exactly what was shared. So she responded, because I remember when I was growing up, my mom was overweight and I had a lot of judgment about it, and I was embarrassed for my friends to see her. Why is it important that you felt judgment and embarrassment about your mom's weight? I guess because my daughter is about to enter high school, and that was around the time that things with my mom's health got really bad, and a lot of my resentment started, and I don't want that for her. Why is it important that your daughter not have resentment towards you? I guess because I ended up coping with my resentment by eating, and I'm now in a similar place as my mom, and I want to break the cycle. Why is it important that you break the cycle? There was a long pause. Sorry. Um, and she said, I want to break the cycle because my mom passed away shortly after that, and she wasn't there for all the major life events like my wedding and the birth of my children. So we went a little deeper, but basically, think about if that was you and that was your goal, when that alarm went off in the morning and you don't feel like working out, if your driving factor is because you want to feel good about yourself when you look in the mirror versus you want your daughter to grow up with a mom and you want to see her walk down the aisle and you want to meet your grandchildren and watch them grow up, which one's getting your butt out of bed, right? Sorry, I said I would not cry, but I just can't get through that without. It was a very emotional, intense experience that I was blessed to be a part of. Okay, so not all whys are going to get to that level of emotion, but I wanted you to understand the structure of the activity. So for each line, you target one thing. So the activity is lined out in the workbook, and it is your first action item in the workbook. So I want to go over some common hiccups that oftentimes come up when doing this activity. Sometimes we try to put multiple whys on a line and then we don't know what to ask. So an example would be, I want to lose weight because I want to feel good about myself in the mirror, and I have a reunion coming up, and my mom was overweight, and I feel like it might improve my marriage. Narrow it down to one. And when you start working through the whys, if you're just not getting somewhere, then go back, choose one of your other whys, right? And go through it again. So this activity is just as impactful, but a little bit different when you're walking yourself through it, right? So some ideas that might help is you can do it in front of a mirror, or you can ask a safe person in your life to be your mirror. But be sure to explain that their role is only to ask the question using your own words back to you. Because another common hiccup is trying to add something. Example, you say, I want to lose weight because I want to feel good about myself when I look in the mirror. And your trusted person says, why is it important that you feel good about yourself when you look in the mirror and try on clothes and go to social events? That's not what you said, right? You focused on the mirror. So they need to only repeat back what was said. And if you're doing it to yourself too, don't try and add on because you will. So really stay focused with the structure. Another thing to be aware of is that when you see a friend or loved one struggling, it's really tempting to jump in and say things that in this activity, the intention of the activity, it would be unhelpful. So things like, oh, you're not that overweight. You look great. Or, oh, have you heard about the latest diet? My neighbor did it and got great results. I'll send you the link. Helpful in other circumstances, that's not the intent of the activity. So go over the guidelines with them or yourself when doing the activity. And again, we're going to do this in the Zoom room as the connection discussion activities once we're done with the Facebook stream and stop the recording. So after you've hit your why, you're going to write it on the next page, and you'll write, I give myself permission to blank. So you know your why, and so you know what you want to do, And now you know your deeper why you want to do it. But sometimes it's hard to give ourselves permission to do those things. So we're going to start with permission. So using that earlier example, it might sound like I give myself permission to let go of past resentments so that I can make healthy choices every day and live a long and happy life with my children, grandchildren, and great grandchildren. Right? Think about like, how are you coming at your why in different ways and giving yourself permission to do your vision with your why. Then you're going to go into, I am worthy of blank. So maybe something like, I am worthy of living a long, happy, healthy life with my family. If the pattern has been, my family is unhealthy and they die young, it's just what it is. Like you've accepted it as that's my fate. And so you would have to completely change your thing and say, no, I'm worthy. I'm worthy of living a long and happy life. I'm worthy of watching my family grow up. So allowing yourself permission and then knowing that you are worthy. Those two are really important. Then you're going to reflect on those two statements and you're going to create a strong, powerful I am statement. So I am blank. You want to make this in the present tense as if it has already happened. It is your reality right here, right now. Okay, that's how you're writing it, not I will, or someday I will, or I might, or I'll try. No, I am blank. So something maybe like, I am healthy. I make healthy decisions daily. I choose foods that fuel my body and I enjoy my active lifestyle. I love playing with my grandkids at the park. It feels so good that I can keep up with their energy. Right? It's all in the present tense. Her daughter was going to high school. She doesn't currently have grandkids and great grandkids. She doesn't even know for sure that she will. But that evoked emotion and connected with her why and gave her brain a strong vision to work towards. So the other thing is that you have to let go of the how and believe that it's already true, and let go of the when and believe it's already yours. That makes sense? Okay, then you're going to read your I am statement at least once daily in the mirror with conviction. What does that mean? It means you are going to look at yourself in the eyes and you are going to own that I am statement. You're going to add on to it as it evolves and becomes clearer. A really good tip is habit stacking. And so what that is you think of a habit that you already have ingrained and you add to it. So if you think, okay, I'm going to start this new habit. I made this I am statement and I'm going to read it every morning. Okay, when are you reading it? Where are you reading it? So think about in the morning, what's a habit you already have? You might do a post-it and put it by the bathroom mirror so you can read it right before or after or both brushing your teeth and like getting ready for your day. Maybe it's down by the coffee pot while you're waiting for the coffee to brew and the K-cup to be done, right? What's already embedded in your routine. And then it's not as unfamiliar and unsafe, and your brain will throw less of a fit when you're doing something new if it's stacked to a habit that already exists. Okay, so now you have your vision. You know when and where you're going to practice your I am statement. So let's start mapping out what else this is going to take. So remember, if you want something different, you must do something different. So we've worked a little bit on our internal thoughts, and we're going to dig deep into how to begin to rewire your neural networks during tomorrow's bonus masterclass. And so that's going to target what's already there inside of our heads. So let's look at some other factors to be aware of that can help or hinder us when we're going after our vision. So I want you to picture a small circle drawn on a piece of paper. Think of that as your brain, and inside of that circle are your automated thoughts, which we're going to learn how to tackle during tomorrow's bonus masterclass. But we get to be the gatekeepers of what we allow to penetrate that circle's barrier, because we now know that anything that gets through repeatedly becomes automated. So think about what you're exposing yourself to, because it's creating new neural pathways that may or may not be aligned with your vision. You may or may not want them there. So take control. You can do that by asking yourself things like, what am I reading? What am I listening to? What am I watching? Are those things aligned with my vision? And I was growing up, those like R.L. Stein Goosebumps books were really popular. And my dad kind of heard about them and was like, nope, you're not reading that. And I just couldn't understand, like everybody else was reading them. And I'm like, I'm reading, it's a good thing. Why don't you encourage me to read? I was an avid reader anyway, so he really didn't need to try to convince me to read. But and he told me, he said, you can put good stuff in your head or you can put bad stuff in your head. And he's very religious. And so then he added on, if Jesus came back right now and saw what you were reading, would he be pleased or displeased? So that was a whole nother level. But that message of you put good stuff in your head or bad stuff in your head. So how do you feel after exposure to what you're reading, listening to, and watching? So for example, I choose not to watch the news. So the top stories and headlines of the day are usually one of three things: a death, a disaster, or a scandal. But it's something negative that is intentionally designed to make you feel anxiety, sadness, or anger. And over time, our brain begins to crave it, and we become addicted to the drama of it all. I've not watched the news for years, and I've never been unaware or uninformed of anything I needed to know. So that argument is not valid. My mom does an excellent job texting me and keeping me informed while I'm on a plane. Hey, by the way, school's canceled for the rest of the year. Happy spring break. And I'm like, wait, what? So I was aware there was a pandemic and I did not watch the news in order to know that. So this is a personal decision that I've made for myself on my journey, and it may or may not work for you, and that's okay. I just invite you to think through, what are you watching, and start making really conscious decisions about what it is. So also on social media, if I begin to consistently see negative, low vibe posts from someone or like from a group that I'm in, I just unfollow. So I get to control my feed and what I'm exposed to. And so my feed is just absolutely filled with positive quotes, inspirational stories, recommended books and resources that align with the things that I'm working on, pictures of my friends and their families and their kids and their pets and their travel experiences. So things that if I happen to have a few minutes and do a quick scroll, ignite positivity, not fear, not anxiety. So I'm just training my brain to seek out the positive. So consider the TV shows, the movies, and also the amount that you spend watching them. When I was writing my book, I canceled Netflix, Hulu, everything, and I've not had cable in my entire adult life. So I didn't have any temptations, right? I'd go to work, I'd come home, I'd eat my dinner, I'd take my walk, and then I'd sit down and write until it was time for bed. And then I'd do my evening routine and go to bed and wake up, do my morning routine, repeat. So I took away those temptations because there was a lot of times that my brain was throwing a fit. I'd never written a book before. It did not want me to do this unsafe, unfamiliar thing. And it wanted me to procrastinate and watch hours of Netflix. So after I fell for that once or twice, I was like, enough, I am taking control. And so I removed that temptation. So what do you listen to? So if it's music with lyrics, what are the messages of the lyrics and how do they impact your thoughts, your mood, your outlook, ultimately your alignment with your vision. For the most part, I listen to audiobooks, podcasts, and music from the free app Insight Timer, which I just introduced to a couple weeks ago, and I love it. And so I'd never really gotten into these like binaural beats. I like when I heard about it, I'm like, what's that? And basically, it's like these frequencies that I can pick like, hey, I want to increase my vibration. Like it's the middle of the afternoon and I'm feeling kind of like, whoa. And so I turn that on and it just helps. And there's no lyrics. It's just this music in the background. I've been listening to some meditations as I go to bed. Like it's a really cool app and it's free, like high value for free. Also, I've programmed my roommate, who shall remain nameless, but starts with an A and ends in Alexa. Oh, dang it. Stop. Sorry. I knew if I said her name, she would try to do something. So I programmed her to play a certain playlist of fun, upbeat songs. So when I need a break, when I want to boost the energy, or I want to celebrate a win with a little dance party by myself, I've selected what songs I want in there. So remember, our brains take repeated messages and automate them without discrimination of if it's true or false, if it's good or bad, if it's right or wrong. And it also doesn't really care if it's aligned with your vision or not. If it's a repeated message, it's going to get automated. Yes, Jackie, it's called Insight Timer, and it looks like a little singing bowl. It's a like white square app with a golden singing bowl or wooden singing bowl. It's been a game changer. Okay. So be aware and take control of what gets into that circle, into your brain. So now imagine drawing a larger circle around that smaller one, and that represents your environment. So think about your physical space. How does it make you feel when you're in it? So physical clutter has a cumulative effect on our brain. Our brains like order. So constant visual reminders of disorganization actually drain our cognitive resources, which reduces our ability to focus. So the visual distraction of clutter increases cognitive overload and ends up reducing our working memory. To be aware of just things like that. And what do you see as you move around your environment? Our brains are very visual. So having something like a vision board where you're walking past it and see it frequently is very powerful. Even if you don't stop and stare at it, your brain knows what's on there and your subconscious is registering it as a repeated message. So Miss Jackie Armstrong here is planning an event in January where she's going to go much more in depth on the power of vision boards. And we'll be sure to share that information in the group. And I definitely encourage everyone to go check that out. So the other thing, so are things around you aligned with your vision? So if we think back to that previous example with the 7 Whys Deep activity, if her house is filled with unhealthy foods and has limited to no healthy foods available, is that aligned with her vision and her why? So think about what's your vision, what's your why, what needs to be in your environment, what maybe needs to be removed from your environment. Another factor of your environment is not just things, but it's people. Who are the people in it? Excuse me, real quick. So you are probably familiar with the Jim Rohn quote that says, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So who are your 5? Do they support you in your vision? Are they contributing to you? And also, it goes the other way around too. Are you contributing to them? So I also tell my clients to not just carefully consider who their 5 are, but to also seek out 3 types of people. You want someone ahead of you who can help lead you and guide you. There is no reason to go it on your own or reinvent the wheel. So this can be mentors, coaches, authors, podcast hosts. Who is ahead of you on your journey that you are learning from? And hopefully it's coming from more than one resource. For example, I currently have 2 coaches, am an avid reader, and frequently listen to podcasts. So I'm getting messages that are aligning with what I'm working on, where I want to go, who I want to be from multiple places. So you need someone, not someone, but people ahead of you, right? You also need people at a similar level as you. Now, they don't have to have the same vision or be working on the same goal, but are they working on themselves and their goals with a similar level of intentionality as you? You need those people who get it because they are there with you and you can push each other, support each other, and hold each other accountable. This can be an accountability partner, a book study group that's reading books aligned with your vision. It can be an online mastermind group where you have a group of passionate, aligned people who meet regularly. Who is that for you? And where can you find it if you don't already have it? So for me, my friends and family are hugely supportive, but they don't quite understand this new world that I've stepped into. They don't understand why I can work all weekend on my business and be energized by it. I don't see it as work, but they're like, you worked all weekend. And I'm like, oh, that's your perception of what I did? Cool. Uh, so I have a couple of online mastermind groups where we meet regularly. We share and celebrate each other's wins. We share resources and information with each other. We share our goals, our visions, and our intentions, and then we hold each other accountable. So my first experience with something like this was a complete game changer. So even if I showed up feeling defeated and frustrated and was like, oh, should I even go today? I would leave feeling recharged and I'd have a clear next step so that I could do it, get a quick win, share it with them, celebrate, and get back into that positive momentum. So, like we were talking before, are you going to allow the downward spiral or are you going to flip it and go to an upward spiral? And a huge way you can do that is who you are surrounding yourself with. Are they going to jump on board with you and be like, oh, yeah, man, my day is really bad too. I'm really tired too. Yeah, things are really hard. Are they going to listen to your pity party for a second and then be like, okay, so what are you going to do about it? So we do it loving and gently, but it's not like going to a friend or going to my mom. It's the accountability is different. And it actually causes change and growth. So be on the lookout for opportunities for your tribe and then plug into it. Show up for yourself and your people, and you will be amazed at the level of growth that you will experience personally and collectively. So the third one is one of my favorites, and what we're targeting during this boot camp is you need to be thinking about who are the people further behind you on your journey. So no matter where you are further ahead than someone in some way. So how are you reaching back, extending a hand and saying, come on, you got this. You can be the light at the end of someone's tunnel. So I have a friend who, when she was a new mom and in her early 20s, her little one was throwing an absolute fit in public and she was mortified. And another woman approached her, smiled, and said, it's okay. We've all been there. That small act of kindness and support made a huge impact on her, and it took that woman a second of her time. So when you find opportunities to reach back and help others through your experiences and the things that you've learned, not only are you giving back and paying it forward, you too benefit from a boost of serotonin and dopamine, which are neurotransmitters in the brain that give you feelings of satisfaction and well-being. And they cause those pleasure and reward centers of your brain to just light up. So yeah, the whole random acts of kindness type of things, right? But very intentional with using the knowledge, the experience, your talents, your passions, your skills. So be very intentional with your 5. Make sure you're connecting with people ahead of you, at the same level as you, and behind you. So the question always comes up, well, what happens if there's someone in my life who's not aligned, or someone who's maybe toxic, maybe damaging to your vision? So the easiest answer is, well, remove them from your circle, right? But that's not always possible when it's like a family member or a coworker you have to share an office with, right? So what you can do is think about, how can you limit time and exposure around that person? How can you protect yourself when you know you must be around them? Is there a mantra that you can say to keep yourself focused and centered regardless of their words or actions? Something maybe like, I am in control of my thoughts and emotions. So while they're over there being negative and toxic, you're just repeating in your head and smiling and nodding, I am in control of my thoughts and my emotions. Yeah, they're choosing to be miserable. That must suck. All right, but I'm in control of my thoughts and my emotions, and I'm a happy person. So what happens also if you begin to regularly wish good things for them? I know, mind blowing, right? But this might look like praying for them, sending them good thoughts, even visualizing good things happening for them, visualizing good interactions between the two of you. So you cannot change someone, but you can choose how you let it impact you, and you can choose how you perceive it, how you react to it, and how you feel. So then consider, so we've got what's in there we're going to address tomorrow, what we're letting in from all of our environmental factors, physical, people, what we're putting in through what we listen to, watch, listen. I said listen, read. So the next thing, so now we're kind of protecting ourselves, right? We're clearing out our space so that we can begin to live in alignment. Now we need to consider our daily habits and routines. Are they aligned with your vision? Meaning, would the future you do that activity? Would the future you have that thought? Would the future you take that action? So then consider what habits and routines you might need to adopt. What actions does the future you take? What thoughts does the future you have? Who is the future you hanging out with? So start putting things into your daily habits and routines that align with the future you. I recommend starting where you are, picking one small thing, commit to it, and habit stack it. And remember, you will always be growing and evolving, and your unique journey is just that, your unique journey. So don't get caught up in comparing yourself to anyone else or where they are on their journey. I figured out where the 4th graders think 5th graders have their stuff together. It was Gwen from from our boot camp doing it with us. It was in one of our discussion connection times. And so, yeah, that's a great example to think about. Okay. Once you're doing all that, you really want to be aware of recognizing and celebrating where you are, and asking yourself, what's the next smallest step? And think through the details. So for your I am statement, when will you do it? You're doing it right when you wake up? Are you doing it right before you brush your teeth, right after you brush your teeth, right when you're waiting for your coffee to brew, right as you walk out the door, right when you get to your office? Like when are you doing it, and where are you doing it? For how long are you doing it? Are you reading it once? Are you repeating it 3 times? And how will you know you were successful? That the I am statement is an easy one. I did it or I didn't do it, right? Not all of them are quite that easy. Now, how will you know we're successful, and how will you celebrate? So important that we celebrate our wins. Okay, so you are set up to go and complete your action items. Continue noticing and writing your automated thoughts. Watch any content you may have missed. Spend time reflecting on the activity in the workbook. Share an insight in the Facebook group. So tomorrow is the post bootcamp masterclass. let go of your limitations. We're going to learn how to permanently remove the blocks and limiting beliefs that are holding you back from living your biggest dreams and life purpose. It's going down at 6 p.m. Central Time in the Create a Life You Love community. We're also going to announce the prize winners. So I talked about on Wednesday, and I'm looking at the time. And so if anybody needs to go, feel free to do so. But a few of you have asked what working with me after the boot camp would look like. So I'm going to just take like 2 to 3 minutes to give a very broad overview before I invite Jackie and Jean to do a connection discussion time. And if it doesn't work in timing right now, maybe we can find another time or tag it on to one of the future bonus events. But basically, I'm revamping and we'll be kicking off the Create a Life You Love roadmap on January 3rd. It is a 12-month high-touch coaching program, which is going to allow you to take your vision action plan that you're creating and make it your reality with the support and guidance of myself and a mastermind community of passionate women. So you're going to look at your life holistically and dig deeper into many of the principles that we've touched on during the boot camp. You will continue defining and working on your vision. You will be guided and supported as you rewire your mind for success. You'll learn how to begin implementing the daily habits and routines of your future self, and you're going to step into that life that you've been dreaming of. Guess where the program inspiration came from, right? It is modeled after the many coaching programs that I have been through that have gotten me to where I am today, living out my purpose in alignment and making the unique impact that I was created for. And I'm tailoring this experience to help you do the same, right? I'm reaching back and saying, come on, let's go. Let's do this. And so in this group, you will have for several of the things, me and my co-coach Sarah as guides, but also each other to be there within the mastermind. There will be people in different places that are ahead of you, that are at the same level as you and behind you, right? So you can get all of those things out of this mastermind. So the key principles are accountability, so you can continually progress. Each quarter, you're going to go through the process of recalibrating by pausing, reviewing your goal and plan, and getting clarity on your next step. You'll do this through a one-on-one coaching session. Each week, we have group coaching sessions. And so I'll go more tomorrow into like the nitty-gritty details. Today is just kind of like the broad overview in case you're interested. So you're going to start with the end in mind and work holistically on your vision, your mind, your body, and your life, and ultimately your impact. We're breaking it into quarters. It is 12 months for a very specific reason. I say I level up every 90 days. So where could you be 1 year from now? If you have 4 levels up, right? Because you're going to start with a vision action call and make your 90-day plan. And then every 90 days, be reassessing, readdressing, and recalibrating. So where you are a year from today can be wildly different than where you are today. So you'll be tackling those limiting beliefs and be surrounded by a community of women who are right there with you, ready to transform. And you will adopt the attitude, the thoughts, the beliefs, the actions of your future self so that it becomes your current self. So there is a payment plan of $887. And if you pay in full, you get 10% off. Now through Sunday at midnight, we're running a bootcamp special price. So you can lock it in at $777 a month. And again, 10% off if you choose to pay in full. If this is not the right fit for you, no problem. I will still lead you to resources to meet you where you are on your journey. And okay, so that kind of wraps that up. I just wanted to get that out there. The boot camp is not over yet. We still have bonuses, and the doors are officially open for the Create a Life You Love roadmap. You can get more information at a link I will drop in the chat in a moment. And so if you are ready to have a roadmap of success instead of trying to do it on your own, if you're ready to give up the struggle, if you're ready to say yes to yourself, then I invite you to come join us. I also invite you to come join us tomorrow for the bonus masterclass. And now I'm going to end the Facebook stream and the recording and check in with these amazing women and make a plan because it is 7:03. All right. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the journey. We will see you tomorrow.